But speaking of history, we had one MVP back in our day, Mr. Cam Newton, the MVP of the whole league. And just, as the season starting to wind down and we know the Panthers aren't going to make the playoffs, have been officially eliminated a little while ago. Looking at the whole league, who do you guys see as the potential MVP for the season?
I mean, it's a two-man race to me. It's really a one-man race to me. I think it's Josh Allen, but Lamar might be able to run him down. I mean, Saquon, I mean, he's still a running back. It's a quarterback award, but if we won't give it into a running back, it's him. I mean, if he break Eric Dixon's record, that's a little different, but he still didn't break it in as many games because we got 18 game season now. So I'm not saying it ain't impressive, but it's a little different. So it's probably Josh Allen to me.
Yeah, I mean, if the Eagles weren't like so stacked already, then I could see, Saquon. But I feel like they were bound to have a good season regardless. I mean, there's a number of running backs. They wouldn't have had a Saquon season, but there's a number of running backs you could have slotted in there that would have done numbers. I mean, Josh Jacobs ain't the same player, but you throw him on the Eagles team, he's gonna eat too. So I feel like there's different dudes like that. He probably can get the offensive player of the year, but my MVP is definitely right now is gonna be Josh. I mean, it's so reminiscent of 2015 Cam, bro. Like where you don't have a lot of he has no true number ones, but he's making it work. He's able to move the ball consistently. I mean, in order to beat them, you got to put up 30. You know what I mean? And Lamar is doing a really good job this year, but unfortunately, you add the talent that they have. I mean, Baltimore's got a lot of firepower, bro. Their the whole offensive staff is crazy. I mean, they got two solid tight ends. They got three to four wide receivers that anybody would want, and then you got top three running back in the league. So, and he's putting up numbers. So I just there's no way I could give it to Lamar this year, and I'm a Lamar guy. So
Yeah, for me, it was a two-man race, but I think it kind of died. I think Josh, like y'all said, is number one for sure. I think Saquon could have made it real interesting if he could have, if the Eagles could have beat the Commanders when Hurts went out, and let's say, granted he had a big game, but let's say he had an even bigger game and able to put it away. Like I think it
yeah,
would have made it a lot more interesting. Um, for me, for me personally, I granted I know this isn't the case in real life, but for me personally, I there's no way Lamar is in the conversation for me. Um, I just don't. When they lost the playoff game last year, the number one reason why everybody kept saying they lost was, hey, the coordinator didn't run the ball enough. The coordinator didn't take the ball out of Lamar's hands enough. And when your reason for losing is your quarterback played quarterback too much, I don't know how he can be a MVP in my eyes. But that's just my little
yeah.
weird quirk.
I
But
don't
with that,
I don't
okay,
agree with that only because it's like that's the style of team that I mean of game that team plays. So it's just like when people make that argument against him, they're like, "Why are you guys going against what you do all?" See, I feel like their run sets up the pass. In games where Lamar might throw for three or four, I feel like it's because you're so scared of what they're going to do on the ground that you're willing to maybe you have to pick your poison. You know what I'm saying? You got to pick your poison with him and I just, when people be like, yo, you should have ran the ball more and stuff like that. I mean, to me, sometimes it's valid, bro. You know what I mean? It's like, I get what you're saying. It's like you're asking, I get exactly what you mean. You're like, why, if he's the MVP, why are you asking him to take the ball out of his hands? But it's more goes into that's the style of game that team plays. And it's like, why go against what works for your team? Even if you do have a superhero over there, play with what works best for your team. This is an 11-man sport. It's not basketball. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's LeBron. All of a sudden he starts shooting threes and during the game, it's like, yo, play your style of football. So,
yeah, I agree with that. My only, I guess, retort to that be is when Josh Allen lost, it was Josh Allen didn't play well enough. It wasn't necessarily Josh Allen had the ball too much. Like I feel like when people say that, what it would be the same as me saying Eddie is still the GOAT. The Panthers are just having him kick too much. Like what?
yeah,
That's his job.
but does Josh's style ever change? Like for example, in that game against the in the Super Bowl, we talked about this. This is obviously a biased conversation, but we all talked about this like during the game while we were watching it, after the game. If Cam had it turned into a running back during that game, we probably would have won. But no, he wanted to sit back there in the pocket. Is that us saying, yo, he's the MVP? Why are you trying to make it? No. We know his strengths, bro. Like he's the MVP because he's still a great player, but his strength is to, manhandle you on the ground. I mean, does that make sense? I feel like that's the exact same situation. In a Josh Allen situation, it's almost like when you say he's not playing well, he might be sailing the ball too high, making questionable decisions, but his play style doesn't change. You know what I mean? That's my point.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, people still are gonna vote him. He's still gonna finish top three, top 2 in MVP. That's just my, you know, little
For
quirk on
sure.
him.